I stood at the back of the chapel, clutching the small rosary Mom gave me when I was 8. They didn't save me a seat. My stepfather's family filled the front rows, whispering and dabbing fake tears while I stood alone, my black dress clinging to my shaking body. As the priest called for anyone to speak about her life, I stepped forward. My throat tightened, but I took a deep breath. Before I could reach the microphone, my stepbrother blocked me, his thick fingers wrapped around my arm, nails biting into my skin. "Sit down," he hissed, his breath sour with coffee and entitlement. "No one wants to hear from you." I searched for my stepfather's gaze, but he looked away. My heart thundered with humiliation. The priest, confused, moved on. I stood frozen in the aisle, tears burning my eyes. They pretended I wasn't her daughter. But as I turned to walk away, I saw the lawyer standing by the door, holding a thick envelope with my name written in Mom's delicate handwriting. And in that moment, everything shifted inside me. I stepped outside, gulping the crisp morning air as if fosse me afogar dentro da igreja. The lawyer followed me silently, his polished shoes clicking on the stone path. "Miss Evans," he said softly. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand, trying to look composed despite the storm raging in my chest. He handed me the heavy envelope. "Your mother left explicit instructions for this to be given to you today." I stared at my name written in her perfect cursive. The loops and curves that once signed my school permission slips now sealing something far bigger. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter. Just seeing my dearest Emma at the top broke the dam inside me. Tears streamed down as I read her words. "I know they've made you feel small your whole life, but you were always my greatest love. Please go to the reading of my will today. You'll understand everything." I pressed the paper to my chest, feeling her warmth even in death. They thought they buried her power with her body, but Mom always planted seeds where no one else was looking. I walked back into the chapel just as the priest ended the final prayer. Heads turned, some in confusion, others in annoyance. My stepfather adjusted his tie with that arrogant flick of his wrist I always hated. The lawyer cleared his throat and announced, "Per Mrs. Evans' request, the will reading will take place now, here." Murmurs spread like wildfire. My stepbrother scoffed loudly. "This isn't the place for it," he barked. The lawyer ignored him, gesturing for me to come forward. My knees felt weak, but something deep within me, maybe Mom's spirit, kept me upright. I walked past my stepfamily. Their glares burned holes in my back, but I didn't care. I sat beside the lawyer as he pulled out a thick stack of papers from his briefcase. He began reading aloud, his voice echoing against stained glass windows. My mother's words flowed into the silent room, each one slicing through their false grief. She spoke of her life, her regrets, her love. Then he paused, eyes scanning the next paragraph before looking directly at me with something close to wonder. If this story resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people discover these true stories of silent power. He cleared his throat, and the room fell into a suffocating silence. To my beloved daughter, Emma, I leave my entire estate, including the house, savings, and investments amounting to $8 million. Gasps rippled through the pews like thunder rolling across a quiet valley. My stepfather's face turned an alarming shade of purple. My stepbrother shot up from his seat, fists clenched at his sides, eyes bulging with rage. But the lawyer continued, unwavering. I know they tried to convince you that you were nothing, Emma, but you are everything to me. This is your birthright, and no one can take it away. My lips quivered as tears welled up again, but this time they weren't born from sadness. They were tears of relief, of vindication, of knowing she saw me even when the world chose to look away. My stepbrother shouted, "This is a lie! She was senile!" The lawyer turned to him with cold precision. "There is a video recording to accompany this will." His words cut the room like a blade, and suddenly their power over me shattered into dust. The lawyer reached into his briefcase and pulled out a sleek black tablet. With a few taps, the screen flickered to life. Mom appeared, sitting in her favorite armchair by the window, sunlight illuminating the silver strands in her dark hair. Her eyes, tired but burning with quiet strength, locked onto the camera. "If you're watching this," she began softly, "it means I'm gone, and it also means Emma is here." She smiled, and for a second, I forgot I was surrounded by vultures in designer suits. I was just her little girl again, watching her mother speak truth into a world that never wanted to hear it. "Emma," she continued, "I need them to hear me say this. You are my only child, my blood, my heart. They never loved you because they knew I did. They hated that I gave you everything they could never earn." Her gaze hardened, and her voice dropped to steel. "This is your home, your life, your future. Do not let them take a single piece of it from you." The room was silent. For the first time, they heard her. And for the first time, I saw myself through her eyes. My stepbrother's mouth opened and closed like a dying fish, searching for words that wouldn't come. My stepfather slumped back in his seat, defeated. The lawyer paused the video and looked at me kindly. "There's more," he whispered, pressing play again. Mom took a shaky breath and her eyes softened. "To my husband and his son, I leave nothing," she said plainly. Gasps erupted, but she didn't flinch. "You took enough from me in life. You will take nothing in death." Her words were calm, almost gentle, but their impact cracked through the marble silence of the chapel like lightning. My stepbrother lunged forward, pointing a trembling finger at me. "She manipulated her. She forced her to do this," he screamed. The lawyer raised his hand, commanding silence. This was recorded 6 months ago, in full mental capacity, with 2 legal witnesses. Any contesting will be denied under her explicit instructions. The weight of Mom's final justice settled around me like a protective cloak. They couldn't touch me anymore. For the first time, I felt what freedom truly meant. I sat there, feeling every pair of eyes drilling into my skin, but their stares no longer pierced me. My mother's words formed an unbreakable armor around my heart. The lawyer closed the tablet and gathered the papers, his movements calm and precise. "This concludes the reading of Mrs. Evans' will," he announced, his voice echoing with finality. My stepfather stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the stone floor. He glared at me with a hatred so raw it almost made me flinch. Almost. "You think this changes anything?" he spat. I met his gaze steadily, my voice quiet but steady. "It changes everything," I said. He scoffed and turned away, grabbing his son's arm as they stormed out together. Their departure felt like the lifting of a storm cloud. The room felt brighter, lighter, like the sun finally breaking through after years of darkness. I glanced down at Mom's letter once more. "Live boldly, Emma. Live as though you've already won because you have." A small smile tugged at my lips, For the first time, I believed her. People began to leave the chapel, whispering among themselves, throwing me glances filled with curiosity, envy, and quiet respect. I sat there still holding the letter against my chest, letting the reality settle deep within my bones. The lawyer approached me and crouched to my level, his eyes gentle. "Your mother loved you very much, Miss Evans," he said softly. "She planned every detail to protect you." I nodded, unable to speak. My voice was buried under waves of relief, grief, and an emerging sense of power I'd never known before. He handed me another envelope. "This has the keys to your new home and the contact for her financial advisor. They're ready to assist you whenever you're ready." My fingers curled around it tightly. As he stood and walked away, I sat in the quiet chapel, surrounded by wilting lilies and fading candlelight, and felt something shift within me. The girl who walked in today died with her mother. The woman who rose from that pew was someone reborn, someone unstoppable. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Mom. I'll make you proud." I walked out of the chapel into the bright noon sun, blinking as the light kissed my face. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the urge to shrink into the shadows. As I reached the parking lot, I saw my stepbrother kicking the tire of his rusty sedan, cursing under his breath while my stepfather barked orders at him, veins bulging at his temples. Their anger no longer terrified me. I walked past them silently, head held high, the letter clutched in my hand like a shield. My stepbrother snarled, "This isn't over, Emma." I stopped and turned to face him, calm and unbothered. "Yes, it is," I said softly. He opened his mouth to argue, but I turned away before he could speak. Feeling the quiet finality in my words settle the air around us. As I unlocked my old car and sat inside, I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror. For the first time, I saw a woman staring back, a woman who had been underestimated her entire life, a woman who would never, ever be broken again. Driving away, the town blurred past my window, but inside I felt crystal clear. Every tree, every street corner, every fading billboard looked different, as if the world had shifted ever so slightly to reveal its true face. I arrived at the house an hour later. Her house, my house, parking in the long driveway. I stepped out, feeling gravel crunch under my heels, a sound so grounding it made tears threaten to spill again. The front door loomed before me, the same door I once knocked on, praying to be let in after running away from my stepbrother's cruelty. Now I held the keys. My fingers trembled as I unlocked it and pushed it open. The scent of her lavender soap still lingered faintly in the air, mixed with old wood and sunlight streaming through lace curtains. I stood in the doorway, silent. Grief and relief flooded my chest in equal measure. I wasn't here as a guest anymore. I wasn't here to beg for love. I was home, and I vowed in that moment I would fill these rooms with laughter and healing, a life worthy of her final act of love. I walked through each room slowly, letting memories wash over me like warm waves. The kitchen still had her floral curtains swaying gently in the breeze, and on the windowsill sat the tiny succulent I gave her years ago, now grown strong and tall. I touched its leaves softly, feeling their cool firmness against my fingertips. In the living room, her knitting lay untouched on the armchair, a half-finished scarf resting there like she'd just stepped away to make tea. I closed my eyes, inhaling the lingering scent of jasmine and lavender. Each step I took erased the years they tried to convince me I didn't belong here. I moved upstairs to her bedroom, opening her wardrobe to find her dresses lined neatly, each hanger perfectly spaced. At the back, hidden among soft cardigans, hung a crimson dress I'd never seen before. I reached for it and found an envelope pinned to the hanger with my name. My pulse quickened as I pulled it free, my mother's handwriting elegant and confident. I sat on her bed, feeling the world pause, and opened it. Inside was a letter written on thick cream paper, her handwriting flowing across the page like a melody only I could hear. "My Emma," it began, "this dress was meant for you. I bought it when you were 16, dreaming of the day I'd see you walk into a room with your head high, knowing your worth. But life became complicated, and I never gave it to you. I'm giving it to you now because I know you're ready." Tears blurred the words as I read, "Wear it on a day you choose yourself, a day when you decide to stand in your power, not because they pushed you down, but because you finally see who you are. You were never broken, Emma. You were always becoming." I pressed the letter to my heart, sobs rising from a place so deep it ached. The fabric of the dress was smooth under my fingers, vibrant and alive like her spirit. I could almost hear her laughter echoing down the hallway, telling me to twirl, to live, to never hide my light again. In that quiet room, I felt her with me, reminding me I was never alone. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in my purse, then held the dress against my body, its deep red fabric glowing in the afternoon light. In the mirror, I could almost see her standing behind me, smiling proudly. Gently, I laid it on the bed and walked to the window, looking out over the garden she spent years tending. Roses, hydrangeas, and her beloved lilies swayed softly in the breeze. I remembered sitting there as a child, watching her dig her hands into the earth, humming old songs as if weaving her soul into every root and stem. As the sun dipped lower, golden light spilled across the garden, and I felt a calm settle into my bones. The girl who once hid behind her mother's legs now stood tall in her place, ready to carry on her legacy. I whispered into the fading light, "I will make this a place of hope, Mom. I promise." And in that moment, the wind picked up gently, rustling the roses against the window pane as if she answered, reminding me that even in silence, her love would always find its way to me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in her bed, wrapped in her lavender-scented sheets, staring at the ceiling as moonlight cast silver patterns across the room. Memories drifted through me like fragments of an old song. Her laughter as we baked cookies, the warmth of her arms around me when thunderstorms shook the house, the quiet strength in her eyes when she told me, "One day, you'll understand your power." Tears slipped down my temples, pooling into the pillow. For years, they made me believe I was nothing, a burden, an afterthought, an inconvenience in their perfect world. But lying there, surrounded by everything she left behind, I finally felt the truth bloom inside me. I was her daughter, her legacy, her greatest love. And as I drifted into a light sleep just before dawn, I dreamt of her standing at the foot of the bed, smiling softly, whispering, "Live boldly, Emma. Live like you've already won." When I woke to the first pink light of morning, I whispered back, "I will." A week later, I stood in front of the mirror wearing the crimson dress, It fit perfectly, hugging my curves, the fabric cool and heavy against my skin. I brushed my hair back, letting it fall in soft waves down my shoulders, and applied a hint of lipstick, the same shade Mom used to wear. As I stepped back, I barely recognized the woman staring at me. She looked strong, unbreakable, alive. That afternoon, I drove to the lawyer's office to finalize the transfer of the house and funds. My stepfather and stepbrother were there, waiting, their eyes narrowing when they saw me. I walked past them without flinching, the heels of my shoes clicking sharply on the polished floor like a quiet declaration of war. In the conference room, the lawyer handed me the final documents. "Congratulations, Miss Evans," he said with a gentle smile. I signed my name with steady hands, feeling my mother's spirit guiding every stroke of the pen. As I left, I turned to them one last time. "Thank you," I said softly, "for showing me exactly who I never want to become. Thank you for watching until the end. If you've ever lived through something similar, share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes the loudest impact is made in silence."